My name's Eric Kasperowicz. I'm the head football coach at Pine-Richland High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm here to talk about the 4-3 defense. And obviously, when you talk about defense, you got to start at the beginning, and we're going to jump into the philosophy of it here first. I've been the head coach at Pine-Richland in Pittsburgh for coming up on my 8th year. I started out as an offensive coach my whole life. In the past 5, jumped over the defensive side of the ball, and just from a philosophy standpoint, that was probably the best thing I've ever done. Playing in college, playing in high school, I was a quarterback, played in the secondary in college, and from a coaching perspective, if you can get on both sides of the ball, there's definitely a lot of merit to that. There's my contact info, Twitter handle, social media, etc. So we're going to jump right into it. Why the 4-3? When I got into coaching, and long story short, I think we all know that games are won, championships are won with defense. And to play good defense, in my opinion, you need to stop the run. I don't care what part of the country you're in. If you're in the West Coast, the East Coast, if you're in a warm climate, if you're in a cool climate, you got to be able to stop the run. And that was the primary reason why we went into this 4-3 defense. First thing there is it's extremely versatile. It's a 4-3, but it can very easily convert to a 4-2-5. We sub into nickel quite a bit at that field backer, and we can match up with any 10 personnel sets very easily. But then I think nowadays more the rage is the 11 personnel stuff, even 12, 13 personnel. Those offensive guys make it tough, and just adding all those extra gaps. And with this defense, we can easily adjust to just about any formation that you give us. It is very attacking. Like I said, we want to stop the run. We want to attack. We want to take and force the issue to the offense. Like, you hear about offensive football nowadays and RPOs and reading defenders and run pass options on almost every play. Well, that gives them the chalk last. Well, we want to take that out of their hands. We want to have the chalk last. We want to attack and force the issue upon the offense, not let them sit back there calmly and comfortably reading us. We want to take it to them a little bit. The third point there, it's very easy to disguise. We are a too-high quarters-based defense. We press on the outside, and it's very easy to disguise. We're obviously middle of the field open. Like I said, a quarters shell, too-high look all the time, but we can very easily get to a middle of the field closed, and we have portions of that we'll talk about in some of our cover one stuff, some of our hot coverage stuff at a different time, but very easily disguised. And you got to be smart about it. I can't sit here and say we're going to run an over front and play quarters and do this all the time, because the offense coordinators are smart. They'll know what the quarters beaters are. They'll know how to attack you. So with any coordinator, any smart football coach, you're only as smart as what you don't know. So you got to understand what your weaknesses are. How to be able to handle when an offense is able to attack you at an area where you're weak. You got to be able to have those answers. So that's why we're very into this 4-3. We're very knowledgeable about it. It's very simple, but we like that because we know when you're able to get us on something, we're able to answer and fix it very quickly. Like I've alluded to, we're going to stop the run. First and foremost, we're going to stop the run. Again, I don't care where you're at in the country. When it comes down to it, when you're one of the final 2 teams in the state playing for a state championship, you got to be able to stop the run. It doesn't matter what type of offense, 10 personnel, 21 personnel, all the jet wing, triple option, flex bone, wing T, doesn't matter. You got to be able to stop the run as a premise, make them left-handed, make them one-dimensional, and then you're able to do some things. And then finally, we like the 4-3 again to be able to stop the run, but you get 9 in the box. So everybody talks about, whether you're playing a 4-3 like we are, an odd stack, whatever it is, you're trying to add extra defenders to the box. And in our defense, we feel that we're able to get 9 in the box very simply. With our down 4, our 3 linebackers, and our 2 safeties are very, very much incorporated into our run fit. So talking about some of our goals, and I think you got to start here to understand what we're all about, and then you can kind of go from there. So number 1, as a defense, you want to prevent points. That's all that really matters. And I talk to our guys all the time. Yards do not matter. If they get a big play on you, if they break a long run, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, because all that matters is preventing points. All right. Field goals do not get you beat. 3 points do not get you beat. Touchdowns do. And I think that's critical to understand. There's been, times throughout a season where they'll pop a run, they'll get a screen on you, but the things we preach about running to the football and pursuing the football and living to play another down, those are all important characteristics because field goals don't get you beat. If they get down in the red zone, they get down near the goal line, you need to keep them out and make them kick field goals, or heck, you cause a turnover and they get 0 out of it. So prevent points. And then finally, like I said, or alluded to, TDs only happen 2 ways: long plays, right? They break a long run, they throw a deep pass, whatever it is, or goal line and red zone scores. Okay, so that's a part of our goal. We want to prevent big plays, right? We talk about that all the time. And obviously when they get down in there in the red zone and goal line, we have a specific plan to keep them out and, like I said, to prevent the points. All right, now looking at the film here. So again, preventing points. This is our district championship game from this past season. This is the first drive of the game. They popped a run, got down in there. This is 4th and goal at Heinz Field. And again, just I think our kids believe the philosophy of just keeping them out. They motion across and run a simple power play right there. We shot some gaps and we're able to get a TFL and get off the field. Next clip here, similar situation. Again, down in the goal line. This is a philosophy. This is stuff that, we talk to our kids all the time about. It's a culture. It's okay. You don't get down because they broke a big run. It's all about keeping them out of the end zone and preventing the points. And one other clip here. Again, similar situation. This is a state semifinal game. Again, down to the 3 or 4 yard line, just selling out whatever it takes, throwing your body around, keeping them out of the end zone. Again, that all starts with the coaching. It starts with myself as a coordinator, and it goes down to my whole staff. It's a philosophy, it's a culture of keeping them out of the end zone. Next thing, we want to take the ball away, right? We don't talk turnovers per se. When we talk to the kids, we talk takeaways, all right? And we believe this is a skill that can be practiced. Quarterbacks generate the most turnovers. That's very important to understand. So we talk to our kids about this all the time. When you get free, you're about to make a sack, you're near the quarterback, we're constantly ripping at the ball, swiping at the ball, trying to create takeaways. All right, again, quarterbacks create the most. And again, we talk about this, we practice this. This is why we pursue the football so diligently. We try to get 10, 11 guys at the ball every single snap. We get a guy that holds them up. The next 2 or 3 guys come through to make the turnover, make the takeaway. So next, this first clip here. Again, they break a little bit of a run, I think a 4 or 5 or 6 yard run. You'll see we have the running back held up, and a very good clip of our safety coming in and ripping the ball out right there. So watch this guy right here. Comes in right there. And we call that the lawnmower technique. We can get into that later, but comes in right at the end, rips the ball out, and gets a critical turnover for us. Another clip, similar situation. They run the ball down to the bottom of the screen here. Our Mike linebacker, who's right in the middle, pursues inside out. They throw the bubble right there. We hold him up, comes through, and there you see 34. Again, same technique, rips the ball over. This just isn't coincident. This is something that we practice on a daily basis. Again, preach to the kids to get it done. And I heard an important quote years ago, but your kids are what you talk about. They are what you teach them. So whatever you're teaching is what they're going to do. If you teach laziness, you allow laziness, you allow kids not pursuing to the football, then they're not going to. If you talk about getting there and ripping the ball out and holding them up and doing things like this, then that's what they're going to do. Good end zone clip of it here. Again, to the left of the screen. Right there, 34, you see, we call that the lawnmower technique. So again, grab the tip of the ball and we actually rip it out. One more clip here. All right, we're going to look at number 8 right here. All right, we have everybody covered. They check it down to the running back right in the middle here. I believe somebody comes and holds them up, and you see 8 coming in from the side, violently swiping the ball out and ends up knocking the ball out for, again, a big turnover in our district championship game a couple years ago. Another clip here. So again, takeaways isn't just forced fumbles. It's also interceptions. So again, we're very aggressive in how we play defense, constantly trying to get the ball back to our offense. Another good one here. I believe this is another interception. So again, we're looking up top. This cornerback, we're in press coverage. We'll get to this later on, but does a good job. He's physical. Guy falls down and he makes the pick. Doesn't just knock the ball down. He makes the interception and gets the ball back to our offense. Next thing, we want to score now. So taking the ball away is great, but now that we do that, we want to score. We want to turn that into points for our defense. So again, this is a skill that can be practiced. We practice it all the time. We get a turnover, a takeaway in practice. We got very specific rules for guys. The intended receiver, I think I saw a stat that on interceptions, the intended receiver tackled the interceptor like 75% of the time. So that's something we talk about, right? We want to get that guy blocked. And then the other thing is, how many times do you see a big interception, a big turnover, and the guy's running down the sideline, nobody around him to score, and his buddy, 20 yards behind the play goes back and blindsides somebody or has a questionable block on somebody. Don't even worry about it. Just go celebrate with your teammates. And again, things we talk about, these are high school kids that get excited. They want to go hits. Well, no, go celebrate with your teammates and let's keep that touchdown on the board. So again, definitely things we practice. I believe his first one here, this is our defensive end down the bottom. All right, he's going to come through. And again, I believe he does it all here. He tackles the running back, rips it out, and scores all on his own. Right there, the quarterback rips it out, and there he goes. And the thing I want you to look at here is once he gets the ball right there, they have a defender right here. I guess it's an offensive lineman that we could easily, and I've seen this throughout my career, kids get excited. They see him going for the score, and our kid comes from behind and just knocks him down. All right. But you see our kids just bypass them, and we just say, go escort them into the end zone. So they don't even worry about them. They just get in front and go celebrate with your teammates. Again, a good end zone copy here. There we go. Rips it out. Again, number 6 right there. Could easily have just hit the kid in the back, but again, go celebrate with your teammates. Here's a good interception look down the bottom here. All right, so the interception happened. Tip ball, we made a pick. But again, I want you to watch the guys in the white shirts doing a good job of not hitting behind. You see the whole cavalry coming. These guys are instructed never, ever, ever hit somebody from behind. Just go celebrate in the end zone. And one more clip here. All right. So again, they try to throw a little tunnel screen at the bottom. All right, we get the interception. Now go score. Finish the play. Again, notice the gray shirts running down the field here. This guy and this guy. Again, I've been on teams in the past. I've seen a lot of teams that this touchdown will be called back because right there, this guy gets selfish and tries to, act a little tough in front of his buddies and knock them down, and then that's called back. And the score is off the board. So that's definitely things we talk about. The little things in football go a long way. So a little bit about philosophy now. Like I talked about earlier, we want to stop the run. Now with stopping the run, there's a lot of things that go into that. We want to win on first down. I think that's very critical to win on first down. Offenses, their whole thing is they want to get 4 yards. They want to, stay on schedule. Well, we want to keep them off schedule. We feel if we can win on first down and get them to 2nd and 10, 9, even 8, we're in a pretty good situation there. Because now that they're not on schedule, they're thinking about throwing the ball. So we want to win on first down. And then the second thing with that, we want to, in our base 4-3, we want to defend the field with our 3 technique as much as possible. All right. So we're going to, built into our rules, we have things that are set up that way that we want to defend that with our 3 technique. He's the anchor of our defense. Second thing, we want to pursue the football. All 11 guys to the ball. Again, they are, your team is what you preach. We practice this every day. We talk about this every day. There's multiple ways to do this. In my 8 years as a head coach, we've probably done 4 different versions of the pursuit drill. All right, we've done 1 or 2 that we've came up with. I stole one from the St. Louis Rams that had one, another one from the Ohio State Buckeyes, you go around, you go to clinics, you learn different things, and you feel if that helps you in your system, in your program, then we put it in. But multiple ways to do this. We always try to change it up, keep it fresh for the kids. But again, it's a culture. We play a gap defense. We want to build a green wall. All right. And when I say that, our greens, our colors, our linebackers are responsible for the open gap in front of them. Now I say gap, we teach them gaps, but we really talk about the open space in front of them. Because again, if you remember back to the beginning, we want to be aggressive. We want our defensive linemen aggressive, penetrating. And there's times where they could be out of their gap, right? A defensive tackle might get reached. Our nose might get scooped, whatever it is. So that linebacker behind them always has to make them right. So we talk about space. If I'm the Mike and I have the A gap in front of me, all right, that's the space in front of me. I have the A gap. But if my 3 technique all of a sudden gets reached and he's in the A gap, well, I'm going to make him right and get into that B gap now, or that space that's open. All right. So again, we are gap defense. We are always gapped out. Now, if you look at this picture here, this is again that green wall. It's very, very generic, obviously, but that's just a base over front to a pro, 21 personnel set. But it shows you we're gapped out. All 4 D linemen have a gap. All 3 linebackers have a gap. And then there's that 9 in the box that I was telling you about. Both our safeties there, again, in a 21 personnel set, can come down, and there are extra hats in the box. All right, that's our +1, +2, and that's the way we're able to get 9 in the box. And again, how often do we see pro under center eye backs? Not very much, but again, that's kind of our starting point, and then we can kind of build from there just to get the philosophy done right. All right, back to that same thing about building the green wall, and I kind of alluded to this a minute ago, but we want to make the guy in front of you right, meaning the guy in front of me is never wrong. So if I'm a linebacker, if I'm the Mike, and the 3 technique has the B gap, I have the A gap, he's never wrong. So if he gets reached because of his aggressiveness, then we want to make him right. And that's the same philosophy to our linebackers and the same philosophy back to our defensive back. It always works front to back. And that is our golden rule. We want to be aggressive here. Linebackers make him right. If a linebacker misfits, now our safety is going to make him right. All right, and that's a golden rule we live by because aggressiveness is paramount. And here's a good illustration of exactly that. If you look on the left side here, again, that's just a general pro set, 21 personnel. That's a weak ISO or weak lead, whatever you call that in your scheme. But long story short, that nose has the A gap. The end has the C gap. And this bandit, our boundary backer, has the B gap. Now, when he gets any type of isolation block, he's taught to spill that ball, all right, out to his defensive end who's boxing it. We box with our defensive ends. And that would leave it to our unblocked safety right here to make the play. All right, that's assuming they got our guys blocked, we fit it up correctly, everything good. All right, now if you look at the picture to the right over here, this is where it shows you where the defensive end, so again, its defensive end has a C gap, but for whatever reason, maybe this kid kind of reaches him a little bit, our DN dives in the B gap there now. So our bandit is taught he's got to make him right. So instead of just plowing himself into the back of our defensive end, all right, he's got to make him right. So when our DN comes in here, for whatever reason, he got blocked in there, whatever happened, our bandit now is going to make him right and fill right outside. All right, so whatever happens there, so again, he knows he has to box the football and again, forces the ball to our unblocked defender there. So again, just the premise of making the guy in front of you right. All right, we're extremely aggressive. And this is something I think shows up quite a bit in the film. Our linebackers trigger and penetrate with their run fits. You shouldn't be able to determine. You shouldn't be able to understand if it's a blitz or if it's not a blitz. If they run the football, our linebackers should look like a blitz every time. All right, we live for TFLs, tackle for losses, and run throughs. All right, like I mentioned, it should look like a blitz. Speed of the players are important. Our linebackers got to be able to run. Really, the only position that you could possibly get away with a guy that can't run is your Mike backer at times, but again, it depends on the offenses you're seeing. If you're seeing 10 personnel teams that isolate him and do some things with him, then you got to think about that. But you got to have guys that can run. And then finally, like I kind of alluded to, we attack on all 3 levels. Up front, the linebacking core, and then even in the secondary. We press on the outsides, and our safeties are extremely, extremely aggressive. We want to overpopulate the box. So again, understand your run fits. We always want to be +1 in the box, with all the quarterback run, that's all the rage nowadays. We want to be +1 there so we can handle those type of runs. And then, kind of like I said, we want to own the numbers, whether it's to the field 3-by-1, we want to make sure we have +1 over there. 3-by-1 in the boundary to the single receiver, we want to make sure we have +1 there. And then in the run fit, we want to be sure we have +1 there. We want to pressure the offense. When I say pressure, don't take this the wrong way where we're reckless. We are not reckless at all. It's very calculated in how we pressure. Zone versus man blitz. What do you do? We're a big zone blitz team. Because if you think about it, think about a quarter structure, 2-by-2, 2 safeties, 2 corners, minus the underneath defenders. Now we match all routes. It's basically cover 0. So if you blitz out of that, it's basically a man blitz anyway. So anytime we bring any blitzes, it's a zone behind it. 85 to 90% of the time. Now there is a time and a place, I think, to man blitz, but we don't do a lot of it. And then finally, pressuring the offense, like I talked about, turnovers and takeaways, how we call them. We run a turnover circuit. We do ball drills for our DBs. At the point of contact when the receiver's about to catch the ball, we have certain techniques we want to use. Do we swipe down? Do we punch? How do we handle that? In phase, out of phase with cornerbacks, we play press, so we see a lot of fades, right? Fade balls. So, if we're out of phase, how do we play that as a cornerback? If we're in phase, meaning we're hip to hip with the receiver, how do we play that? I talked about the lawnmower earlier, and then we talk about a dirty ball and a clean ball. And I know a lot of people refer to that as a city and a country ball. So basically, if the ball's on the ground, it's dirty if there's a lot of people around, right? If there's a fumble and there's a lot of people, well, we want to fall on that. If it's a clean ball, it's out in space. They threw a bubble or a toss sweep and the guy dropped it, or we hit him and the ball pops loose. Well, nobody's around. Well, that's a clean ball. We want to scoop and score there. So again, things we talk about, it just doesn't happen on accident. These are things we practice and talk about all the time. We want to defend formations. All right. We want to take away what they do best. Offenses are very specific about what they do. They do things for a reason. They get into formations for a reason. They motion for reasons. The depth of their running backs, tailbacks, fullbacks, H-backs, sniffers, they're all in certain places for a reason. So it's up to you as a coach to examine that, break it down, and then come up with a plan on why they're doing that, and then how to stop it, right? You got to defend it. So we do formation recognition every day. We got to understand what are their top 3, 4, 5 formations. So we got to understand what they are and how to get aligned to them. I think lining up is half the battle. It's almost embarrassing how many times teams, defenses, at all levels get beat, get big plays on them because they're not lined up, right? And I think that's the before anything, you got to get lined up, all right? And then I talked about back placement a little bit there. What level is the back at based on their alignments? And we'll get into that more later when we get into the stopping and the run talk. Last couple here, we want to take away their best player. We want to make them left-handed and one-dimensional, especially at high school football. I mean, if they have a stud at the X receiver, well, we got to take him away, make him throw to somebody else. If they got a stud quarterback, I'm going to do everything in my power. The deck quarterback has a rough night, or if he's a runner, he isn't going to run it much. If they have a tailback, we're going to load the box and make him throw it. So whatever it is, we want to take away their best player and have answers whenever they do try to adjust. We want to be simple. Keep it simple, stupid. We all know that. And I think that's very an overstated thing, but we really believe in it because we want our kids to play fast, play violent. You can't play fast and violent if I'm thinking about how to get lined up, if I'm thinking about this read, or who I key, or what am I doing. We want to keep it simple. One base front for the moment. No, we have other things we can do and we move, but one base front, one base coverage, and then we kind of build from there. All right, take the thinking out of it, especially for these high school kids. Communication. How are you going to communicate? With any relationship, I don't care if it's on the football field, if it's a husband and a wife, if it's 2 sisters, if it's a mom and a daughter, you got to have great communication or that relationship will suffer. So we really stress and preach communication. We don't huddle just because most of the offenses don't huddle nowadays. So we don't huddle. We use hand signals for everything. And there's a specific order of communication. It's like in math class, order of operations. We have an order of communication that goes through. All of our kids got to be on the same page. And then we actually set roles for our players as well. Certain people set the front. Certain people, tell out the down and distance. Certain people, if it's a trip set, we have to do certain adjustments there. Splits of receivers. They all do things for reasons. So we have people on our defense that kind of talk about that and alert our defense about that. And then the final thing, some definitions and some terms that we talk about. A lot of these are general football knowledge. things. Some of them are special to what we do at Pine-Richland, but for the most part, you got to understand these. When you're talking defense, line of scrimmage, LOS, right and the left. That's how we set our front. Some people go rip Liz, whatever it is. Trades, a tight end trade. Bump is our linebackers. You'll learn later in our alignments that our linebackers are certain where they need to be. Bump is getting them both into 30s. Field, we're a field and boundary based defense. So again, being able to get lined up easy. Well, the field's obviously the wide side. The boundary is to the short side. Now, a lot of people call that bench, but boundary is what we use. Strong and weak, obviously, is away or to the tight end. Front side, back side, based on where the ball goes. The box, all right, obviously the box is in between, right about the tackle area. Box is us, our defensive ends, boxing the football. Box is also known down the bottom there is in the box, out of the box. Spilling the ball, which we don't do primarily as a base rule, but on certain pressures and stuff, we definitely have guys that can spill the ball. In the box, like I mentioned, tackle to tackle. Out of the box is outside the tackles. In out, so wide receiver running an out route, and in is in. In under is any type of under route, 5 yards or less. Pine, that's a term we use when a DB and a linebacker share two players. So if they're in a condensed split, and depending on the coverage we're in, we say pine. Some people call that share. A bunch of different rules out there. Tangos when two linebackers do the same thing. So if there's two running backs back there and we're playing cover one, our linebackers are sharing him. Show, that's a pre-snap blitz. So we have a certain linebacker will come up. Our bandit will come up on the ball and show, and then he'll step off. Down, all right, is the same type of thing, except we're showing our blitz and then we're gonna blitz. So I would say down, bandit. All right, our band's going to be up on the ball showing, and he does go. So there's time. You can't just show and back off every time. You got to show and go at times too. Double tight is very, very important that our kids understand when they come on two tight ends. All right, tough call. That's a post-snap stem for our defense when they line up an over front and basically stem to an under front. All right, so you'll see we're an over front, but we go to under fronts quite a bit. Pinch is all 4 D linemen pinch inside. Stem. That's a D-line aligns in another front and then stems to the front that we call. Base is our base defense. Okie is our third down package. And then Casino, again, is specific to us. That's our third down package. So that's it. That's the basic philosophy of the 4-3 defense. Again, any questions, please feel free to reach out. But hope you learned a lot from that. Thank you.